exactly. I've played plenty of Metal Gear. I still don't understand the story of Metal Gear, but I know stuff was happening.
Yeah.
He might be a mad genius, but
Maybe he also made Kingdom Hearts. Who knows?
It's very easy, especially in the modern era, with as fast as things move and as fast as media moves, to forget stuff that happened.
Patreon recently has had a bunch of changes that they've done to updates and stuff, and I just haven't paid attention to it. Like, I've seen it, and I'm like, whatever.
Alex, we made it to 2024. How do you feel?
I feel like a new year is great for things.
It really is. I too find that New Year's are great for things, especially being a new year. You get that one extra number on there. Beautiful. Ticks right over. The New Year's baby starts crying again. The ball drops.
Smacking on the butt?
Yep, you smack it on the butt.
Ball drops?
The big old balls drop. Yeah, that have. Hey, New Year, it seems to get lower and lower every year. Anyway, the point is, hey, folks. Thank you for watching the balls drop with us here on Total Pebble Knockdown. I am Nathan.
I am Alex. And Nathan, I think it should be the pebbles drop for us, not the balls.
That's true. We've got 2 pebbles. They're dropping right now. Anyway,
you gotta get those rocks.
Get your rocks on. Let's just, you know what? It is 2024, though, and I think it's about time that we talk about some of our plans for the upcoming year. Because we do have some things that we would like to do, a few New Year's resolutions. Thought we would talk about them on the show this time. How does that sound to you?
Sounds resolutionary.
Oh, like revolutionary, but with resolution.
Yeah.
I see.
You're welcome.
I see. Yeah. 4K vision.
Don't forget to
like and subscribe. Did the button do the thing? I want to know. I've floated the idea of something I wanted to do, mostly on Titanium Mine, but I've been talking about giving some games some second chances. And second chances are not something that all of us usually get in our real life, but I do like to think that there are some games that are deserving of giving them a second look. I don't know if that's something you've done in the past.
I have occasionally. I think when I went back and tried Eco again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A couple months ago, and I was like, still no.
No. Now, to be clear, you mean Eco, E-C-O, not Ico, I-C-O, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what Ico is, so yes.
Team Ico? They created The Last Guardian and Ico. And then also, Shadow of the Colossus. That was like their 3 games.
Oh, yeah, no, I meant the game Eco.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, I tried that. I tried a couple things. I occasionally go, maybe it got better. Maybe with fresh eyes, this game doesn't suck like I thought it did.
Right. Historically, the one that I went back to was Remnant, which I did not like when I first played it at all. And went back, played it, and really to this day think that it's a great example of like a Souls-like. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to be able to give a few other games that same sort of treatment. And it's unfortunate because sometimes you'll play games and you're like, this should be good. This should be great. I feel like this really should work and I should like it. But whenever you play it, whether it's your mindset or the way the game presented itself, you just bail on it.
Yeah. Sometimes sometimes on paper it sounds fantastic, like you with Midnight Acres.
Oh, it sounded like a great idea, and then it wasn't. And then it just wasn't.
Execution is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. More recently, Breathage. Because you were playing Breathage, I thought it's a good opportunity to go back to that, because I did not play it very much. That was another one, where I was like, everything seemed like this should work. And I just did not, I bailed on it. Right around, actually, interestingly, the time you bailed on it this time, where it asked you to open all the coffins.
Yep.
That was the first time I played it.
Yeah.
That was right around the time.
Well, it's one of those things. It's, the premise can be neat, in this case, Breathage. The premise was,
Yeah, I mean, the premise was essentially, hey, wasn't Subnautica cool? We could do that in space.
With lots of tongue-in-cheek humor.
With lots of tongue-in-cheek humor, yes, a much different tone. to it as well. And in truth, it's a fine enough idea. In practice, it has its issues. The thing is, though, that I'm glad that I went back and played it again. One, because I had kept thinking about it since I had played it originally and kind of go, was there something there? But also, the reason why I think it's very interesting is because I couldn't really verbalize why it didn't work for me until I went back. I had even forgotten that I had even done a Titanium Mine episode on it before.
No.
And I did a revisit essentially for Space Ember. But at first I was like, wait, did I actually do an episode of this? Yeah, 2 years ago when I played it before. Some other games, though. I wanted to explain a few of the other games that I planned on doing second chances for in the new year. One of them was, I don't know why I didn't like it. I think I got bored, but it was Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is one that some people consider one of the greatest games ever made. I've heard people literally say that, and I understand the sentiment. When I played it originally, though, my thoughts on it were, I'm lost, I'm bored, I don't know what's going on.
Now, are we talking the one you were like, you should get this one on Epic because it's free the other day, or are we talking the one that is set in a 22-minute timer?
The 22-minute timer. You're thinking Outer Worlds, which I did very much like because it was an Obsidian RPG. And
well, that's why I was asking. They're so similar in name that I get them confused.
We have like a couple letters difference in them.
Yeah. I haven't played Outer Worlds. Which one are you talking about?
Wilds.
I have not played Outer Wilds, but I've seen someone do a playthrough of it, and it is really interesting and cool, but at the same time, like, seeing someone do a full playthrough of it, like a let's play of it, I can't play it.
Right, because now the exploration element of it isn't
well, not even just the exploration element, the entire story I know, and all the things and how to do things. It's not like I have to figure it out because I've seen someone else do it. That's
the tricky thing too about Outer Wilds, is that on the one hand, you want to be able to play it, you want to play it blind because it's supposed to be about exploration and discovery and learning how the systems work. But at the same time, when I tried doing that, I got, like, real confused, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I feel like seeing someone play it would be helpful, but then it kind of ruins the whole nature of the game and exploring it and discovering it. So I'm, like, between a rock and a hard place. Maybe I'll try to get some pointers about what to do.
Did you see the Daryl Talks Games video about Outer Wilds?
I think so, yes.
That one's pretty good, where he goes, it's not really a game, but it is a game.
Yes,
it's really interesting. I think thematically and everything they did in it is really good. And then the ending is really good.
Yes.
But, like, I enjoy the concept, but would I have enjoyed it playing it? Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there are these games that I personally think are really great that they exist, and I want to like them. You know, I think that's the thing. I want to like the game, but I can't find a way to, and then I just give up.
Right.
Which is,
I think, in the case of Outer Wilds, if you can't play it, if you find it that you're just too confused and it doesn't click with you, I would actually suggest watching someone do a playthrough of it. Not so you can then go play it, but because the story is really interesting. Yeah.
At least to get the appreciation of, like, what it was doing. Because there is the possibility, as I've found, that there could be really great games that you just don't like.
Souls-likes for me as a whole. Dark Souls, for instance. I have listened to tons of stuff about the lore of Dark Souls.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating and it's really interesting. But the games aren't for me.
And the thing is that I've played so many Souls-likes, and a lot of them are good. Some of them are usually pretty high up on my tier list for, like, the end of the year list. I know one in particular is going to be, like, probably in the top 3 this year. I have occasionally thought about going back to Dark Souls, too. Like, just to say, I did try it the once. I got angry at the game. So either like Dark Souls or Demon Souls, which has been even longer for me and had an even more controller throwing fit. That might be something that I go to. Maybe not, but something from Software. I'm planning on doing Elden Ring on stream, so we'll see how that works.
And we were talking about earlier, I have recently acquired Armored Core 6.
Right, which we're gonna have to talk about at some point because it's
which I'll have to compare to MechWarrior 5.
Oh, perfect.
So
yeah, because again, that's one of those studios, like as a whole, that I have found myself with a really contentious relationship with the games. Maybe because it's not for me, but at the same time, the genre is something that actually appeals to me. So I'm kind of in that weird space between. A couple other ones though that I wanted to mention was Death Stranding. I tried Death Stranding.
I think I have it on Epic. I haven't tried.
Oh yes, yeah. I've played a good portion of Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima is another one of those cases where he is it's hard to say that he isn't a genius when it comes to design, or when it comes to storyline, because I don't understand half the crap he's doing half the time.
Yeah, just look at Metal Gear, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. I've played plenty of Metal Gear. I still don't understand the story of Metal Gear, but I know stuff was happening. Yeah. He might be a mad genius, but
Maybe he also made Kingdom Hearts, who knows?
Yeah, that's a whole other dude that did that one. You know what? Actually, I think I'd love to see Hideo Kojima do Kingdom Hearts 4. That would be amazing.
They should have done Kingdom Hearts mixed with Metal Gear Solid, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of Disney.
Metal Gear Hearts.
Anyways.
I love it. Anyway, but yeah, Death Stranding is another one where a lot of the early game is about delivering as much cargo as you possibly can and traversing the landscape. And I was just getting to the part where it kind of started talking about like the larger story and the entities that are around there and everything, and that there was combat and that there was fighting and stuff going on. And I guess I just had lots of other stuff I wanted to play, and I was like, do I really care? Like, that was kind of where I was at. Like, okay, I got the bike now, and I can carry stuff on the bike, but realistically, is this going to be the majority of the game? And I'm kind of curious to go back and see if it is.
Yeah, that's one of those things. When a game takes a long time to introduce the fun elements into it, it's kind of like, could you not have, like, started with that?
Right. So that's one that I think is going to be interesting to go back to see, like, well, if you just give it a little bit more time in the oven, is it not just trying to figure out how I'm putting all these ladders down and ropes and stuff, is there... It seems like there's a larger story you're trying to tell. It may be very, very interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be understandable, but, interesting is one of those things. So, that I'm planning on doing. Another one that's on here I wanted to mention was Metro Exodus, because I played the previous Metro games, and I did play Exodus for a little while. I didn't really get through the first chapter, but it is very interesting in being this open-world version of an Exodus game that has essentially no HUD around. Like, all of the information is done contextually through the game to be more immersive. I think I just ran into a few issues with that where I started to get a little lost as to what I was doing in that first chapter. I got through a few of the story beats, and then they kind of leave you to your own devices to figure out the storyline. I ran across some ruins, and there was like these electrical orbs that were all around it. It killed me a couple times, and I was like going, I'm going to put this down and maybe come back to it later, and I never did. And so I'm thinking about going back to that because you're on a train in that game, and it's supposed to take you through, like, chapters. So you've got, like, open-world areas, and then when you can get the train moving again, it goes to the next area, and the next area, and the next area. And I'm kind of curious as to what those are. I think that they're actually themed around seasons. Anyway, I want to go back and try that one. And then the other one, and this might even surprise some people that I would even attempt this.
World of Warcraft.
No, I've gone back to World of Warcraft a couple times.
You have not.
Okay, that's a lie. It just feels like I played for as long as I did, and I had dropped it for like a week and came back, and
it doesn't count.
That doesn't count. No. World of Warcraft. We'll see. I'll tell you what. I'll put it on the list.
I mean, it's free to play up to level 20 now.
Here, I'm putting it on the list in real time.
You can at least see how different the game feels gameplay-wise, whether or not you care about the story or anything, if you do it, so...
Yeah, I don't even remember what my old account was, so I'm gonna have to just create a new character, but that's fine.
Well,
I don't remember
it would be whatever your Blizzard account is, so...
Oh, can I find that?
Who knows?
Who knows? It's been so long, again. But anyway, yeah, it's a possibility. No, the one that I was thinking about is the one that last year I said was the worst game I played from the year.
Balan Wonderland.
I did not play Balan Wonderland because I knew I was going to hate that. But no, it was a game called Little Witch in the Woods.
Oh, right.
Little Witch in the Woods, which I did have as the worst game that I played from 2022 when I did my best to worst for that year on Titanium Mine, and the big problem that I had with it is that it is so slow, and it's not even slow in the way that you're like, oh, it's taking some story beats and trying to build up, the character development and stuff. No, I mean, like, it's literally slow. It took me over a minute to get from one side of a screen to the other side of the screen while I'm using stamina to increase my speed. And I'm like, why? Why does it take so long to do everything? And I eventually got to I guess it's the potion house, which you're supposed to be able to use to make the potions. And they give you the task of, well, before you sleep, you have to go and clean up the cobwebs. And I had to clean up the cobwebs, and after every single one of the cobwebs, there had to be this giant dialogue box about exposition, about where the Little Witch in the Woods is at in her life between the cobwebs getting cleaned up, and I'm just like, come on, guys, can we get to the game at some point? Yeah. So, I think that they've probably patched some of that. I'm hoping that they've solved some of those problems, and I would like to go back and see if it has fixed the issue. Because, again, in theory, this should be a game I like. It's like a cozy game. Seems like it's maybe a little Stardew Valley related, a little bit like that. Should appeal to me. Mm-hmm. If I could ever get to the part where you do that stuff.
Yeah.
Which would be great. So, I have other ones that are on my list, but those are a few that I wanted to highlight as to reasons why I was going back to them, the reason why I wanted to do it. And
makes sense. Should be fun to talk about, too.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be fun, because this time my main goal is that when I go and play them, that I play them further in than I did the first time.
If you can.
If I can, and with the goal of essentially like finishing them if possible. That is the point. Yeah, to be able to finish them if possible. The key here is that I need to go back to them to find out what happened that led me to not play through them, and hopefully get a better analysis of whether this actually does work and I just wasn't in headspace for it, or if it really just isn't good, like if it just doesn't work at all. Because a lot of them, it could either be that I wasn't in the place where I wanted to play it, which is, that's another one that I should do, Pentiment, which I know is a good game, but I just didn't want to play that kind of game at the time. It's hard to argue with a game that is done in such an interesting style, but it's a narrative game, but it's also done by Obsidian, and it's like and got so much acclaim for being what it was. But anyway, that sometimes I just don't really want to play that kind of game, and then sometimes it's that it really needed improvements, and I don't know if the company went back and did that. So,
who knows? Exactly.
So, at any rate, those are some of the examples that I wanted to give of doing second chances this coming year. That is going to be my resolution, essentially, for the year. is to go back and play those kinds of games and see if they work. And we'll see how it works out. If you
hopefully, something to talk about if not, or even if so.
Yeah, exactly. One way or another, it's going to be an interesting story to tell, to see if any of this is good. Are there any games that you have considered going back to recently that you kind of dropped?
I guess one of the games that I was just recently, because I got it for Ray, looking at and going, I could play that again and probably enjoy it, maybe, was Shadows of Doubt.
Yes.
And that wasn't so much I dropped it because I didn't enjoy it. It was just I wasn't feeling like playing a, logic deduction game at the point, and I haven't picked it back up since.
Yeah. That came out recently, didn't it? Wasn't it just
that came out this year.
Okay.
But like that one's like, even she's playing it the other day and she's like, I'm not sure if I like it or if I don't like it. Like some of these things I don't like, but the overall game I do like. And then she's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it.
Yeah, it's different. It's hard when you have games that are just outside your wheelhouse, like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just not something you typically play. Mm-hmm.
I don't really make resolutions so much because I don't ever follow through with them. But part of my plan for this year is to try and find games that are out, not necessarily in my wheelhouse, not necessarily games I would typically play. For instance, Vampire Survivors that you got me, not a game I would typically play. Have already put like 8 hours into it, and it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in more depth on a later episode, but yeah.
Yeah, but like, one of the things I was thinking about, the reason I want to do this, and one of the things I was thinking about was that, I'm 36 now, and so I grew up playing... like Command & Conquer and stuff on the PS2, stuff like that. And over the years, I've kind of stuck to similar styles of games a lot.
Yeah.
For some of it, but not always. And I find it really hard now. Certain games don't appeal to me as much.
Sure.
So like Colony Sims, City Builders. Love-hate relationship with them. I want to love them, but at the same time, most of them have zero story. Timberborn, for instance. Interesting game, great concept. I thought it sounded cool. No story. That tides me over. I don't need much of a story. I need something. To give me a reason I'm doing the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Farming sim. I've put probably over 100 hours in that. Played with Crave a bunch. Played with you on stream.
Oh, we broke the physics of that badly.
Yeah, we broke the physics. Like, part of the game is really fun and satisfying, but there's no objective. It's a sandbox game.
Yeah.
There's no story. Give me a little story where I can start a farm, small plot of land that my family owned, and then expand to an empire. Give me something that's not just a lack of a fail state, aside from taking out loans. Yeah. Or like not selling things. Like, I need a little bit more than that. Actually, a game I want to talk to you about that I have been playing, Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you've played it.
No, I hadn't.
But one of the things I want to talk about later with you is lack of fail state. So
yeah.
It's one of those things. I want to try and find what games I enjoy now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's changed over the years, and I haven't really done much reflection on that because I don't really do a lot of reflection on or analysis of these things. But so part of the thing I want to do this coming year is I want to play games, just whatever games, essentially. And so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can buckle down and do it and try stuff and see if there's games I do like, see if there's genres and games I don't like. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's again one of those things where, like, I would usually love to have those open world games that are like the big sandboxes, and I don't know, I thought, I'm stepping away from that a little bit too, not doing as many of those because they felt kind of just like messing around, and I don't always have the interest in playing those sort of games anymore. I think what happens is that, you start to get older, and as you get older, you start like thinking about maybe there are two kinds of people, I guess. There are people who get older and they get set in their ways and they like what they like. And then there are people who get older and they say, hey, what a great time to expand my horizons and see what else is out there. Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do because, again, Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
I was like, man, not really my type of game, and then I played it, and I'm like, I can see why people like this. I can see what makes this enjoyable, what makes it cathartic. I can see all the little things that they do that make it feel like a loot box extravaganza without the loot box extravaganza.
Exactly. No microtransactions for the loot box extravaganza.
And I like, for instance, am a fan of roguelites.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it does have some elements of that too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and Vampire Survivors wasn't even a game I thought that I'd like, you know?
Right. I feel like a lot of people are like, what the fuck is this? Bought it, and then like, oh shit, this is great.
Yeah, this is something. I can't stop playing now. What's happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So yeah, no, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that over the course of the year. Hopefully everyone will check back and we'll talk a little bit more about our experiences, but especially with doing some second chances. Let us know. You'll probably see the full things over on Titanium Mind, but I'll likely talk about some of the mechanics of it over here, not just talking about the game itself, but talking about some of the things that I found in them. I'll probably be discussing over here. So,
and if you have any games that you're giving a second chance this year or anything of the sort, feel free to let us know down in the comments or let us know over on our Discord. We are more than happy to talk about games, second chances, and anything else like that.
Yes, and of course, if you like this or you want to see more content like this, remember to like and subscribe. Did the little button do the thing again?
You're just obsessed with the little button maybe doing that thing.
I just want to know, when I say subscribe, is there a little, like, rainbow circle that generates right around the subscribe button?
Let's look in the corner. I don't know if I'm mirrored or not.
There we go. Okay. Success? Question mark.
Question mark.
Okay. So, Alex, when we did our 100th episode of the show, we talked a little bit about, well, at least we touched on the idea that we're not really a news program because so many of these outlets will be able to do late-breaking news on things very, very quickly.
24-hour news cycle, also people that post videos daily or close to daily. And don't know if anyone who's listening to this knows this, but we record all the segments that you see on YouTube at the same time.
Yes.
Because it's part of the podcast, so we record the whole episode and then bring it into the segments. So in 1 week interval where we got 3 segments, they are all recorded at the same exact time a week before.
Exactly. So doing any kind of like newsy stuff that has any kind of like time-sensitive nature to it is almost not worth doing at all, even though we might want to talk about it or have things that we wanted to discuss.
Sure.
However, I did start to realize that there is something that we're in a unique position for because we do longer things that are after the fact, is to go back to stories that were very big and then no one talked about them afterward. I don't know if you've noticed that with something like the stuff that happened with Unity, for instance, was something that you would see videos on every single day for about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah. Well, and then I would see stuff when there was any update to it, like Bellular News, for instance. Or like, oh, an update on Unity, up with their news roundup thing, a bunch of stuff going on. Or just a big in-depth piece on that.
Right. But rarely do we get the opportunity, or rarely do I see outlets that will, 6 months in, a year afterward or something, go back and say, hey, so how did that all shake out? Like what actually happened and where was the resolution to it? And something I wanted to do, at least on Total Pebble Knockdown, was to take some of those stories and go back and look at what that was, and hopefully, being this far out, has come to some kind of resolution that we can cite. With maybe some more updated, stuff that's happened since, some of the articles that were written, some of the statements that were made, and talk about it in more depth now that we're past the time where it was just like every single moment of the day, just getting update. Unity is a good example of that, where, we had so many different updates, and then they changed so many of their policies while Unity was in the process of trying to change how they monetize games used on their engine, and then had to constantly backtrack on it.
And then I think they fired their president or whoever it was in charge.
Sounds right. Yeah, I believe I did see that. And had to make some statements. It's all those times where you see the apology JPEG. You know the apology JPEG, right? It's companies that do that. I feel like we have to occasionally, just to remind people that these things happened, we have to go back to the apology JPEG like months afterward and say, okay, so what did this actually result in? Because I feel like there's this thing, because we have a very fast news cycle, where game companies, or just corporations in general, kind of go, oh, we did a bad thing, get a statement out there, talk about it for a second so that we can say, yeah, we understand we did a bad thing. And then hope that it all just dies off because the news cycle will move away from them and onto something else. And yeah. I feel like it's important to remind people what happened, and also if anything came of it, or if anything changed in the process.
Yeah.
And we're probably in the position where we can do that at least, and it would be useful to do so.
Yeah, and I think that's more interesting to talk about anyways.
Oh, yes.
As we've talked about, I don't really care about much of the news stuff a lot of times.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Some of it's interesting. Like, again, we talked about Unity slightly, and I said the reason we didn't talk about Unity is because it was here and then over by the time we would have been able to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. It burned 3 times as brightly and only a third as long. But yeah, things like that. We touched a little bit on, like, when Wizards was doing the OpenGL changes and what they were hoping to achieve with that. And again, the whole tabletop community was talking about that for a good month or so. And it seemed like it had some kind of resolution, but realistically, is it in better shape now? Did they actually follow through? It's stuff that I'd like to be able to actually say we looked into and talked about in more depth, which is probably something I'm going to be trying to do for an episode later in the month, on a few of those stories, to actually go back and revisit them. Like we had said in the 100th episode, we're not a drama channel, we're also not like a news channel, but we do try to stay relatively informed about ongoings in the industry, since it's one we care about. I hope that there are people who might find our videos or, watch this kind of content that also have an interest in what happens with all of this stuff after the fact, after, the chaos of the late breaking news, and would like to get some kind of a retrospective on what happened. And so I was hoping that maybe we could do a little bit more of that this coming year. That's kind of a resolution I had for the show, at least, to, not on a regular basis, but to occasionally, maybe once a month or so, be able to take a story that happened. Maybe even one that's lapsed for a while that people barely even remember, and say, hey, remember this? and go back to it. And hopefully people will find that more interesting.
Remember when Bethesda said that Starfield was a next-gen game in your computer? You just need to upgrade your computer.
Yeah. Remember when Fallout 76 was going to have 16 times the detail?
Yes.
Actually, we joke, but at some point it really would be interesting to go back and take a look again at Fallout 76, because I even revisited that on stream years afterward, and I feel like that's one of those interesting case studies of, like, a company losing the plot, frankly.
A little bit.
And what's happening with it now? I've heard some people say they like it more. I don't know. It's very easy, especially in the modern era, with as fast as things move and as fast as media moves, to forget stuff that happened before and ask, like, what did. We forget about this stuff. And then, like, years later, we go, oh, yeah, don't know what happened with that. I'd like to be able to say that we indeed do know what happened with that once the dust settles. And that would be good for not just our edification of knowing how this stuff shakes out and what the companies end up doing, but I think it would also be useful for anybody who happens to be listening out there. So that's just one thing that we're hopefully going to be doing in the next year. Feel free if you have any suggestions about what you might want to hear more information about, or that you'd like me to look into, or Alex to look into. It's going to be me. I'm going to look into it, but, but if you want us to...
Occasionally I look into things. Occasionally. You do a lot of research where you'll listen to stuff or watch stuff while you're doing other stuff and, like, do that kind of investigation. So I look at a lot of, like, articles and statements and stuff. You know, that's kind of my jam. So yeah. Well, I get to have my headphone in for 6 hours on my work shift, so I kind of use it to listen to whatever.
Exactly. And I usually will, like, watch videos or do stuff while I'm just tooling around downstairs, while I'm in the magic lab here. And if it's something that I can watch while I'm also playing games so that I can talk about the games and also watch the thing. I have to be overstimulated nowadays. I have to do, like, multiple things to keep me active. The point of the matter is that if there are, stories that come around, we can always look into them if you are interested in seeing something on that. I have a little bit of a laundry list already of some stuff that I want to do in the next coming months. But if you have some ideas, you just let us know. If you want to keep up to date on them, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I hope it's doing the little circle thing on the subscribe.
You'll have to find out by watching this video back later, Nathan.
Yes, we are. And if you see it pop up on your YouTube, let me know in the comments down below. Hey, see, look, I also brought it around to that. Couple things we wanted to discuss at the end of this episode was just some updates on what we wanted to do with Total Pebble Knockdown in general. So, Alex, state of Total Pebble Knockdown. What's going on?
Sure, we're doing great. We're having a fun time.
Yeah.
We have been thinking a bit about the fact we've been doing TPK now for just over 2 years.
2 years, yep.
So one of the things we were looking at is our website.
Yes.
Lovely website we designed. Mm-hmm. It costs money to run. A substantial amount of money for the money that we don't make, which is not the point. We don't need to make money to be able to do things necessarily. It would be cool. It'd be cool. It'd be great. The Squarespace running costs of the website is a bit more than we need to pay out if we don't really get any traffic on the website. And one of the things is we don't really get a lot of traffic on the website, which, again, we don't push people to the website for anything.
No.
And there's nothing really that you need to go to the website for specifically aside from merch, but we can do that a different way too.
A couple different ways, which we can talk about. But yeah.
So one of the things we're thinking is we're going to try and pare down the website to maybe like a single web page hosted somewhere else with our latest videos on it and like a little bit of what we are and all the stuff we offer, but at a reduced size because then everything's in one spot.
Right, it probably just needs to be something like a landing page is what we were talking about.
Pretty much, and that'll also save stuff on your end, Nathan, when you write the posts up. We won't necessarily have to do that anymore.
Right, because a lot of them are still going to be in video format and everything like that. People will still be able to get them in that way. I think, like, the behind-the-scenes part for people who are listening right now, like, oh, you're not going to have a website, is that if people aren't really going to the website and they're seeing our content in other ways, it really doesn't serve us very much to do that. Most people don't find us through the website. They usually end up going to the website after they've already looked at stuff. The website's useful if it brings traffic to everything else. And frankly, it does cost money, and we are always very thankful for the patrons that we have, but the truth of the matter is that for what we do get on Patreon, it pretty much has to completely pay for the website on a yearly basis for what we get.
I mean, I don't think it even covers that, but that's fine.
Yeah, which is, again, one of the reasons why, pare it down. If we ever had a reason to have more stuff on there, that would be something. We don't really write articles so much. We mostly just do videos and podcasts, and that's something that we can do in other media that we get a lot more traffic on, frankly. We can talk a little bit about what we were going to do for merchandise, because we have sold some. We're always happy when people come and check our merch out, but there are options where you can do them either on like YouTube, or you can do them through other means. So
right. Also, one of the things, speaking about merch, is I'm not sure how the quality has held up for everybody that has bought anything. I know my hat, for instance, the beanie is fine. I think, Nathan, your hoodie is fine.
Mine is fine, yeah.
But the t-shirts, specifically the ones we have that, at least the two of us here have, the tri-blend ones don't really hold the design very well. They've all but worn off.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just the number of washes that it goes through or whatever, but yeah, I'd like to see something that might be a little bit more higher quality if we can. So looking into some options for that, if we're going to go through the process of, changing out some stuff, we're probably also going to look at some other options for actual clothing and merchandising. I can tell you, Alex, if we really wanted, like, real high-quality stuff, I actually do know, like, a company that can do screen printing that's more local. The problem, of course, is that to pay for like the whole run of something, like
yeah.
I don't know how many mediums and larges of a sweatshirt.
Yeah, the difference between a print on demand service and getting a batch order is that you don't have to buy a batch order when you print on demand.
Right. If I said I need one medium shirt and I need or whatever, they could probably get it, but it would probably also take a really long time to do small orders like that. So. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea how much it would cost. It would probably be pretty exorbitant.
One of the things I would love to do for merch, but that would require a bit more research and probably a higher cost anyways, would be if we can get some dice made.
Oh yeah, dice would be great to do some custom dice,
Yeah, but those tend to be expensive.
Oh yeah, in similar fashion, something that I thought would be really cool is, those like, almost like displate, those tin posters that I thought it would be cool if we could make like an actual poster layout that people could like put up that would be in like a tin, like a metal sign, like those kinds of things.
That'd be neat, but we'd have to have an interesting design on it then, because just having the
we have
album wouldn't really be interesting for people.
No, that would also take work. We'd have to design that. So
and we do have a designer, but if we're gonna have them design more stuff, we need a bigger audience that would want stuff.
Yeah, we would need to know that somebody out there was going to buy one. Or 10. So, Patreon. Patreon.
We got one. Click on the Patreon link down below.
That's right. Make sure to do that. We have a Patreon. We do get some use out of it, and we do have some patrons on there. What we usually use it for is to have early releases of the videos and also to do some of the additional bonus content that we talk about behind the scenes, sometimes to relay information to of like upcoming stuff that most people wouldn't know about. So that's usually what we do. Occasionally, too, something I like to put up there are draft versions of stuff that before the actual full versions, like if I had previously done a version that didn't become the full one. Some interesting things that we've done in the past. But I think we're probably going to utilize it a lot more, especially because paring down the website, that we can really use that also for a way to release a lot of the full video presentations for the general population so that they can go over there.
Patreon recently has had a bunch of changes that they've done to updates and stuff, and I just haven't paid attention to it. Like, I've seen it, and I'm like, whatever. I'll check it out later. And then I always put it off. So I feel like we'll need to see what they've changed and updated on there.
Yeah.
And we can better use it. I know that I think free tiers are a thing now as well on Patreon.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you can, like, do a free subscription, and that's its own tier. So I want to go over the Patreon, what we can both offer, and then see what we can use it for like, goal setting as well. Because they had goals or something before and changed it.
They did.
And, like, as a way to, like, do community and to expand and whatnot, and then integrate the Patreon role into maybe its own section of the Discord server, for instance.
Yes.
Because you can have certain ones that you need the Patreon role to get into.
Yes.
That way, if we have people who want to do specific things, talk specific things, or just have specific things for patrons, we can do that.
That's true. That's true. And I didn't know about the free tiers for Patreon, but it would be interesting to set one of those up. Just so, too, like, we could even run polls about which one of these subjects do you think would be the most interesting one to discuss, or what kind of thing do you like to hear about the most? Get people engaged so that they're on there. Probably utilizing Patreon more would be good. We already have it. It's already set up. It can be used for a variety of things. Our patrons have been very good for us for many years. And anything more that we can offer, focusing on that instead of focusing on, like, the website itself would be probably good for everybody involved. And so...
And one of the other things, too, touching on the Discord thing, is that I would like to revamp the Discord as well. Yes. There's a bunch of channels in there that don't really see a lot of use or proper use, for instance.
Yes.
And I would like to kind of see how we can rearrange it to make it just more ergonomic and how to make it just better use of its space.
Yeah, I think that there's probably a few places where we could pare down one channel into, like, several channels into one channel, like just several forums. And maybe even add a few, depending on what we want people to be discussing in there, like how we
I think the best use for that would be me going into the Discord and making a channel that's like, hey, we're going to revamp this. What do you guys want to see? What do you think can go away? And have the people that are active in our community help us figure out what would be best.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. We're going to probably have to create another channel so that we can figure out what channels we actually need. But hey, you know what? It's a revamping. It's been 2 years in. It's a good time to be able to revamp, and especially now that, like, you know, we have some great people on Discord. It's not a huge community, but it is a very active one. I'm always surprised by how many times I see posts on there. It's actually pretty
very
good.
Active might be generous. It is
active for its size.
Sometimes
what I mean is active for its size, considering how many people are on there.
Yeah, no, it's not a huge community, but the people there are great.
Yes.
I know, for instance, my friend Clayton has been doing his part to try and be active on there, which is great, too, to help out, which is awesome.
Yeah, I have a few people that give me a whole breakdowns of the episode after we do them, segment by segment.
We always appreciate that, Datum.
Yeah, thanks, Datum. I'm thinking specifically. Sometimes Seago. No, everybody that comes by, everybody that comes to visit us for our live shows that are part of, like, our main core community is great. I'm surprised just by the amount of people that we actually have on the server compared to the amount of engagement that we get. Discord's very good for that. Like to be able to utilize it more for that. But it would be cool too if we get a free level for the Patreon to do, like, at least that as a channel, so that we know that people that signed up over there are, you know, actively talking in a forum over on Discord. Discord is not perfect. It has its issues, but it is a very valuable resource for what we do, where we want to have more open discussions about topics with people that are also interested in it, as more of a dialogue and less of a fight about it down in the comments, sort of, that you get on YouTube.
Not a fan of big fights.
No, like, we'll engage with a lot of the comments that we get onto YouTube, but YouTube does lend itself more to just, like, a couple random people that have never met having this long, drawn-out, fight about stuff that is completely off topic occasionally.
Yeah, we've had a couple on some of our videos that kind of popped off where people are just kind of being dicks in the comments. So it's like,
Yeah, I do have to say I've at least been pleased that most of the time it's constructive. Most of the time
it is. And then the occasional dick in the comments gets their comment deleted by me.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's like, what's up? What are we doing here? Yeah. But no, even on the ones that we talked about in great detail, a lot of times it was mostly people who had interest of those topics. The one that we did about 3E is still our most watched video by far. But that one, a lot of people were talking about, like, well, actually, here's some of the history about the barbarian, and here's some of the history about how the spells worked, or all of that, or how prestige classes were. That's all good. I like that. But then you occasionally get people where it's like, I don't even know what you're saying. I think there was that one comment that I loved. I actually had to screenshot it because I was like, I don't know if this is gonna stay up, but I gotta do something about it. Who, I think we were talking about magic items, and I think he was under the impression that we were actually talking about, like, magic and not, like, in Dungeons and Dragons, but, like, doing magic itself. And I was like, what? What are you talking about, man? Did you not see the D&D? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just entertaining for me, though. But, yeah. But anyway, yeah, probably focusing more on the YouTube stuff, only because the video presentations get far, far more traction than the podcasts. The audio-only podcasts don't really see a lot of people listen to them. It's really mostly on YouTube, and if anyone's seen some of our numbers on YouTube, you can probably guess what our podcast numbers are. They're not stellar, but we have a few people that listen there on a consistent basis, so I still want to do it. It's just not something that we will probably prioritize as how we put content out. I don't think it'll
change. I just think we're going to focus more on the presentation on the YouTube side. So right. And so some of the stuff I usually do is if there's graphic elements or overlays or information that I can put up on screen for better clarity, I like to put those on when we're discussing games themselves, and I happen to have the footage for those games. Then I will try to put that up just to make it a little bit more interactive. That's stuff that you wouldn't normally see. I don't think you're going to lose anything if you're listening to the audio only. I think you're still going to be able to enjoy it perfectly fine. But for those of you who are watching this, I think you're going to maybe get a little bit more clarity and be able to get a little bit more out of it. Like Alex is getting out of his sneezes right now. That's good. Yeah, good sneeze.
Yeah, that's good. We're looking at doing some basic graphic overlay changes and updates. So if you see any of, like, the end cards or our overlays or something change a bit, that was by design. We didn't do it because somebody got angry with us or something. We're active.
I got angry.
Alex got angry, and so now we change it. But he has some clout here, so you can do that. But at any rate, new year 2024 seems like a good enough year as any to go back and try to tweak some stuff, work some stuff out long term, because we're not getting any younger. That's not how time works.
Nope, it's not. I checked.
So, hey, you let us know if there's anything that you were looking forward to hearing about, or if you have any suggestions for what you'd like us to do. Hopefully productive, hopefully not about real magic. That would be great. And if you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comments down below. You can check us out over on Discord, obviously, and hopefully we'll have even a free Patreon tier soon enough. You can check us out over there, even if you're not paying monthly charges. And of course, you can always like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. More people are doing it seemingly every week. So
seemingly. We're gonna pretend, even if they don't.
Wink.
Wink, nod, nudge.
See, I'm doing an actual physical wink, but I'm also saying wink for the people who are listening at home in the audio. See, everybody gets a little something out of this. And so, with that, it's a little bit of housekeeping as we start the new year about some of the stuff to look forward to. I'm enthusiastic, which is a good way to start the year, because Lord knows by the end I'm not going to be, so let's start the year off strong. Alex, if folks wanted to find us currently on the internet, where could they find us?
You can find us at totalpebbleknockdown.com, where you can still find us later because we're going to keep the domain name. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're still going to see the domain name. It just might not have as much, content on it. But that's fine. At least it's someplace
much lighter.
Lighter. It's going to be a lighter website. And you can also find us on Patreon, like we discussed in the episode. Feel free to sign up and check out some of the additional content that we have over there, like basically the behind-the-scenes stuff, the bonus content, the crap that didn't make it into the episode, I think is how I usually frame it, and extended episodes that come out beforehand, before you would ever listen to them on YouTube, Spotify, or any of the other places that we currently are. You can also find us on all the social medias, whatever they are now. I don't remember their names, but I'm at Titanium.
I'm at EXP Limited, and our show is at Pebble Knockdown.
Although be aware that we don't do a ton on social media anymore, just because it's kind of a hellscape. They're not nearly as useful as they used to be, quite frankly. For anything, it seems like
garbage.
Pretty much, yeah. What happened? What happened? That's something we're gonna have to do on a catching up on the news segment. What happened with social media? And of course, you can find us on every podcast app known to mankind. Please rate and review and subscribe where possible. And in the meantime, we will see you on the next episode. We have some other things to talk about, as sort of like new things retrospective for January. Check that out. We have some more things to talk about, some more games to talk about.
Just come back next week.
Just come back next week. It's going to be something. It's going to be something cool.
We'll be here. You should be here too.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
That's our new tagline for the show. Total Pebble Knockdown. We're waiting. And while you're in the waiting room, enjoy all of the free magazines that we gave you. They're 5 years out of date.
It's perfect. Enjoy those till next week. Bye.
Bye.